High School is an expeditionary learning school. All of our classes and curriculum are built around the character framework from EL. The character framework is our belief system here at River Bluff High School and part of school culture. In this session, you will hear students and world language educators talk about how our ultimate goal is to contribute to a better world and how learning a language can be our vehicle to get there. Looking at the character framework, you will notice that the outer ring is empowering leadership. By allowing students to make real-world connections, they will take ownership of their learning. Once students take ownership and realize the purpose of their language learning, students and teachers can dive into the next ring of deeper instruction, compelling curriculum, and student-engaged assessment. Through authentic assessments and by bringing the world into our classroom, students can ask deeper questions and start to build relationships. By bringing in speakers, creating exchanges and travel abroad programs, and creating authentic learning, even in this time of virtual learning, students start to build relationships and have a sense of belonging and purpose. This takes us to the next ring of our character framework. Students then take their high school experiences to become effective lifelong learners and ethical people. All of these experiences enable our students to have the skills to contribute to a better world. But who better to tell you about their experiences than our students themselves? Please join us as we hear from Spanish, German, French, and Chinese students and alumni from River Bluff High School as they talk about their experiences with world languages and how that has positively impacted their character and their life.
Welcome global C.R.E.D attendees. My name is Ria and I am an 11th grade student. In the summer of 2019, I took a study abroad trip to Salamanca, Spain, and had the experience of a lifetime there. Upon arrival, I quickly immersed myself in the culture and instantly fell in love with the slow-paced lifestyle in Spain. It was fun to go to my school in Salamanca, come back to my host mother's house in the middle of the day, and just relax. It was definitely different from the fast-paced lifestyle of the United States, where there is not a set time in the day to take a nice, long, relaxing break. I also enjoyed the excursion activities that our group did, and I learned a great deal about historic Spanish landmarks. What I will remember most about the trip is the relationship that I had with my house mother. Being in an environment without a native English speaker forced me to express my thoughts in Spanish, even to the house dog. In a classroom environment, it is difficult to speak in Spanish 100% of the time. When I would enter Spanish class, I would only speak in Spanish for the duration of class and would revert back to English at the end of class. However, in Spain, there was no option to revert back to English. In a way, I am glad that I was not given the opportunity to speak in English because I used many phrases that I would have never used in a classroom setting, such as, "Que día se lava la ropa aquí?" Going to Spain allowed me to see how the Spanish language was connected with the culture and really tried to make an effort to use the vosotros form of verbs because, well, I was in Spain. In the future, I would like to keep up with my Spanish skills and help Spanish-speaking families that have trouble with English. Going to Spain inspired me to take Spanish in college and further my Spanish education. Although it took some time to adjust to the lifestyle in Spain, I am really glad that I was given this opportunity to create relationships and explore the world. Thank you.
After 3 years of learning Spanish, in the summer after my sophomore year, I had an opportunity to go to Spain. The program was called My Time Abroad, and led by Senora Gaib, we stayed in Salamanca, Spain, a beautiful and unforgettable city in northwestern Spain for 3 weeks. I learned about Spanish culture in my Spanish classes before, but the real experience was something new. I had tapas, which are like appetizers or snacks before a full meal, and I experienced siesta, which is a break during daytime for a short nap. For a few times in the first week, I went out to buy something during the siesta time and realized the stores wouldn't be open and came back home empty-handed. Everything, even little mistakes, was amusing, but I also had struggles. The biggest was the language. Even though I was proficient in Spanish classes here, the real word proficiency was different. For example, I had only learned the bathroom is el baño, so when a Spaniard said el aseo, I couldn't understand. Then, in the second and third weeks into the program, as I practiced listening, speaking, reading, and writing daily by living in Spain, The constant and natural exposure to the language significantly improved my proficiency. So not only did I have fun in Spain, I learned a lot that left profound impacts on my life. I now love learning languages more and want to be more fluent in Spanish. Then, as I want to be a doctor, being a trilingual will be very beneficial in the communication skills in the profession. Also, I met so many new people who are from Ireland, Slovakia, Italy, China, and more. And I once again realized the world is so diverse, and I will continue to explore it.
Hi, my name's Olivia Bellino, and I'm a freshman at River Bluff.
My name's Riley, and I'm also a freshman at River Bluff. So, Olivia, what's one thing you've done in German this year that's really impacted you so far?
I think the most impactful thing that we've done is the virtual exchange program. German students write to us, and we write back, and it's really helpful to learn new common German words that we can use in our writings and when talking to them.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's been especially cool to see how different and how similar life is in Germany. And it's been especially cool to see that a lot of German teens do the exact same thing that American teens do. And I feel like this will be a really great experience and opportunity to be able to make a lifelong friend that we can talk about Germany with and maybe even travel to Germany and visit one day. Another really impactful thing we did for me was the German for Hire program, and it was basically where our whole class had a Zoom meeting with a German, and she talked about her childhood, and as she was talking, I was noticing that she did some of the same things that I've done and some different things that I've done or that I haven't done, and it's just really cool to realize that people across the world do some of the exact same things that we do every day.
Yeah, I think this experience really heightened my goals for my German speaking abilities because it was really cool reading and hearing how real Germans talk, and so now it set the bar really high for myself and how I'm going to start trying to talk and write in German. Overall, this experience and these two programs have been extremely helpful, and they helped me and I'm sure my peers get a better perspective of what life is like in Germany.
Hi, my name is William Roebuck, and I'm a sophomore at the College of Charleston. I'm double majoring in German and foreign language education with a minor in psychology. If it sounds like a lot, it most definitely is, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And I cannot express how much language means not only to me, but also for the rest of the world. Language is a way for people to experience other cultures firsthand and to have kind of that gap to bridge any divides between literal language barriers or between cultures or between viewpoints. And I cannot stress how important it is. And I've definitely seen its importance through my own life, but also through my experiences as well. So first off, I had the lovely opportunity to take German in high school for 4 years. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be German, but language in general is something that you definitely get better with over time. And through using all of those, you are training your brain to think in a different way and to view the world in a different light. And like I said before, it's such an important skill to have in today's world, to be able to see something else from another perspective. You don't necessarily have to agree with it. However, having that opportunity and that tool to use is going to be extremely beneficial in your life. Personally, language has opened a lot of doors for me. So outside of taking it in high school, I actually got the chance to study abroad for a few weeks in Germany. It was really cool because we had exchanges. So our German students came over to my high school and we went over there after in the summer, which was really amazing. We got the opportunity to see the different school systems firsthand and to really see the differences and the similarities and how some things work better in one place and some things just really don't work in others. But without that experience, I would have never seen that, and I would have never have been exposed to other ways of thinking. And through that experience is really what made me want to be a language educator, particularly so that I can give that same opportunity to my future students, because not a lot of people get to study abroad in high school. And I think that that's something that I'm really privileged by, but I also want to give that to other people in the future. So through all of that, I also had the opportunity to receive the the Tim Stewart Future Language Educator Scholarship through C.R.E.D, which was amazing. It's a really cool networking opportunity that I've already gotten to meet a lot of really cool people in language professions like teaching or translating and anything like that. And without all of that, I would not know where I would be today. And kind of going back to that central topic, but without language, it's impossible to create relationships with other people. It's impossible to view the world around us without some form of thought or written communication or spoken word. And it is super important in today's society to be able to not only bridge some of those gaps, but also try to see things from the other person's perspective.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm so excited to be able to share my language learning experience with you all today. I believe that language learning is really important because it can impact your life in so many positive ways, and so I wanted to share my story with you. I began studying German in middle school because my father is in the military, and so I'd gotten to travel to Germany with him. And so in high school, I continued learning German, and in my 10th grade year, my family got to have an exchange student, and her name is Kira. And since then, we've been able to visit her a couple times in Germany. She has come back to visit us, and we still keep in contact pretty regularly. And it's been such a meaningful exchange because we've been able to compare our lives, to share with each other, with our family, with things that we like to do, and also just to practice our German and practice her English. And it's been a really meaningful part of my life that I wouldn't have had without German. I also continued studying German when I was in college, and I minored in it. I'm now in medical school, but I wanted to continue with the language learning because I think that it's really important for how it affects your brain and how it lets you have relationships with other people. And after my second year of college, I was able to actually go to Germany for the summer, and I worked in a research internship in a town in southern Germany. And it was a really awesome way to spend the summer. I lived with German roommates. I had to open a bank account in German. And so there were lots of challenges that came with that, but it allowed me to be independent and to really stretch myself in a language that wasn't my own, which, if you think about it, is the experience of most of the world's population. Most people don't learn English as their first language, and so when they travel or when they want to interact with people from America or the UK or anywhere else in the international marketplace, they have to speak in a language that's probably not their first one. So I think it's really important to learn another language, even if it's just one that you think is for fun or one that you plan to use in business or in your professional career. Because meeting people in their native language, even if it's just a few phrases that you're able to say, is so meaningful and shows that you've really taken the time to respect them, to learn some about their culture and about their language. And I think that it's a really important part of having meaningful relationships and exploring the world around you. German has continued to impact my life. I'm still trying to read the Harry Potter series in German. It's a little bit easier because I know the story, but I'm always learning new words, and it's just really good to continue to have that brain stimulation, the challenge. German has allowed me to make random connections with people in airports who I know that they're German, and so we'll have little conversations. Or if people are lost, or if you just find maybe an older grandparents that are coming to visit, maybe grandparents from Germany. And it's just really cool to have these little connections with people that you probably wouldn't have otherwise if you didn't speak the language or if you didn't have a little anecdote to share with them. Especially now with COVID, I think that being able to speak a second language, being able to see the German newspapers or just watch a movie sometimes in German has really helped me as I'm struggling with the world feels a lot smaller because we can't travel. And I think that language learning is really crucial because it really does open up new doors and whole worlds to you that you wouldn't have otherwise. So if you have not studied a language or if you're considering it, I would highly encourage you to. I think that language learning opens your eyes to so much around us that you wouldn't be able to see. And I think that it's really part of being this more interconnected global world that the trends are going towards. And I hope that you will consider learning a language. Thank you.
Hello, my name is William Wenzel, and I spent 10 years in the immersion program in Lexington School District 1. I had the amazing opportunity to visit France my freshman year and discover all that it has to offer. During that time, there were many things that happened. I particularly enjoyed the landscape that it provided, as well as some other features such as the great food. However, I found that often within comfort you do not grow, but rather through discomfort. Some examples of this were one time I was in the house and I did not have sheets, and I was too shy to ask them for sheets. So instead I went and I searched the drawers and I found a burlap curtain to use as sheets. Another time was whenever we went to the public pool with my house family, and I was told to wear slightly revealing clothing. You imagine that could be quite embarrassing. My favorite moments of all was whenever I particularly was on the bus, the community bus one day, and 3 men boarded the bus and they began scanning tickets. I, absent-mindedly, as an American, forgot to scan my bus ticket in, and I ended up having to talk my way out of getting in trouble with the officers that boarded the bus. But with these moments, I found that I grew immensely. For instance, I found that I should live more in the moment. I could have very much more enjoyed the parks and the places that I visited if I were to live more in the moment and not worry as much. I also learned the benefit of the things around me and that I should be more focused on the things around me rather than just the worry. I also finally had an importance around, as the saying goes, you don't know what you have until it's gone. I too did not value my friends and family as much as I should have until one day they were gone. This experience has not only helped me to grow, but has helped me to contribute to a better world around me. Now whenever I'm in a situation where I see someone else who is slightly uncomfortable or is in need of some help, I try and do my best to reach out and help them, as I once would have wanted as well. All in all, this opportunity to spend 3 weeks in France has brought decades worth of growth, and I would not trade any of it for the world.
Hi, my name is Margie Grace Tidwell. I am a senior here at River Bluff, and I'm going to speak to you guys today about my experience with the World Language Program. So, in between freshman and sophomore year, I had the wonderful opportunity to travel to Angers, France with about 7 other kids, and we attended the Catholic University there and of World Language, and we studied. And I have to say, it's been the best experience I've had so far in my life. I mean, I learned so much while I was there and learned how to have more of a global perspective. Basically, when you're there with people from all around the world, and the only common language we had was French. And so you had to speak French, otherwise there was no way to communicate with them. And that really inspired me. So I'm going to school and double majoring in cognitive studies, which is studying how we learn, and also in French. And I want to research how learning a foreign language when you're younger and learning it throughout school aids your abilities in learning other things, and how learning a foreign language can help us learn overall.
Hi, my name is Sarah Jane Seville, and I am a senior at River Bluff High School in Lexington, South Carolina. Foreign language has always been a part of my life, but it had so much more meaning to me after the cultural experiences I've had over the past few years. One of the cultural experiences I've had was when I went to France for 3 weeks in the summer for a language learning program. This was the first time I was in a foreign country, and I was aware of it. I was old enough to notice it was something different. It taught me so much about how our environment affects us and how different or the same people are wherever you go. After my trip, my goals were completely changed. I decided I wanted to be back in France as soon as possible. So I planned out I would skip my junior year so I could graduate early. I'm now planning to go to France for a year so I can get my French up to a native speaking level, so then I can enroll in a French speaking university. Learning another language has changed my worldview so much and made me realize how our environment helped to shape the role we're supposed to play in society. In France, I noticed people valued themselves, their time, and their family so much more and so differently. French people are not going to work on Sundays or eat dinner at their desk while working late. America seems so obsessed with working and money and the temporary satisfaction of success. France is about enjoying your life with the people you love, and work is just how you provide for that. The relationships I formed in France taught me about their way of life, and I want to be a part of that life. Cultural experiences give people a well-rounded perspective of the world. It teaches you about how to be considerate. It helps understand how your decisions and choices impact others, and being considerate and selfless is how we're going to get to a better world.
My name is Larissa Curlo, and I was able to be a part of a French exchange program where my family and I hosted a student for 2 weeks. They learned so much about the American culture, lifestyle, language, and so much more. I learned a lot too. I not only learned how to speak like a heritage speaker, but also new day-to-day terms. I learned how different the two countries are, but also how they're alike. There's only so much you can learn in a classroom, which is why this experience was so important to me. I learned the most when I was put in situations where I had to use my French, forcing me to remember things I thought I had forgotten. Also, during this experience, I created amazing friendships with people that I still text till today. Imagine how many people you could be missing out on because of the French or the language barrier. But I had my French to be able to talk to these people and get to know them, which was amazing. And now I have a home in France with my French exchange student because of the bond I created, and she has a home here. This also changed my goals. I now want to study in France depending on what I want to become career-wise, which I wouldn't have thought was possible before this experience or before learning the language. So this was really important to me. And learning the language itself was very important because of the cultural background and all the historical things that you get to find out, and knowing more about other cultures keeps you open-minded. There is so much more to the world. You can't stay in one place. So this was super important to me, relationship-wise, and about how I'm gonna go with my future. So, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Arnold Jang. I am an 11th grader here at River Bluff High School, and I have been a part of the Chinese program for the last 6 years. And I can definitely say from my own experience that learning Chinese has given me such a big opportunity to learn more about my own culture and its background. Through Chinese, I've gotten to learn and meet so many new people whom I never thought I would ever form connections with. And I've gotten to form better bonds with the people I already know. Just sitting in a classroom, learning about the same stuff, and traveling around the world to places like China and to places around the US. I've gotten to experience firsthand Chinese culture, arts, literature, and of course, food. Food has honestly been one of the most enjoyable experiences of being a part of the Chinese program here at my school, because I've tried so many different types of food, whether spicy or sweet or savory, that I've never tried before. They were one of the best dishes I've ever had, and I would have never had this experience if I never took Chinese in the first place. And I know as my years are coming to an end here at our Chinese program that I have this new knowledge of this Chinese culture, which has given me the opportunity to reconsider what I wanted to do in the future. I've thought about minoring in Chinese when I go to college, just because I feel like it'd be such an enjoyable experience. And I've also given thought to studying abroad, which I know my family members have done in the past, and they've said that it was such a fun experience to learn more about Chinese and various cultures in that realm. Through Chinese, I've gotten to form better connections with other people, which has enabled me to make a better contribution to the world. I've gotten to help so many more people now that I've experienced Chinese culture. I've gotten to gain a better understanding of how different societies work, and not just my own.
Hello, my name is Brianna and I'm a senior at River Bluff High School. When I was in the 10th grade, I got the opportunity to go to China with a few other students in the Chinese program. I thought the trip was a life-changing experience for me because I got to learn more about Chinese culture and Chinese language. One part of the trip that was my favorite was going to exchange school in China, where I got to see many cultural differences between the United States and China. One part that I thought was different was the school food because I thought it tasted better and was healthier compared to school food in the United States. It was also shocking to me that they spent around 14 hours in school even though they got breaks, when here in the United States we spend around 8 hours in school. It's also shocking to me that they focused more on science and math, and in the United States we focus more, at least at my school, we focus more in language arts and English. I also got to meet many new friends with similar interests as me, such as drawing and Korean pop music. I also thought volunteering at the panda base was fun because even though I volunteered before, it was interesting to learn more about pandas, and I learned more about that they were going extinct. I thought the trip was very impactful for me because it was a great learning experience, and I'd love to visit there again or maybe even live there in the future.
I saw everything in Beijing as spaced out. It kind of gave me a very, very peaceful, very informative, very inspiring. It gave me like a very ambitious tone to it. And when we left our hotels to go to the Forbidden City, I noticed a lot more of the architecture of the buildings and how they are so different compared to buildings you see in New York City or San Francisco. I thought the way they captured some of the buildings, like one building I saw when we were by like the Bird's Nest in the with the Beijing Olympics, especially with like the Bird's Nest too, I felt like all the architecture there was very pretty. And with the Forbidden City and the Temple of Heaven, they captured so much beautiful colors together and made it so lively and very positive. They have to capture a lot of history so they can give more perspective to other people. I think what was also interesting to me is I didn't know how popular KFC was. I think trying some of the foods there in a way, when I went to like the first restaurant, I think the majority of what I had is broccoli, but once I started getting more comfortable, because I was still a little bit nervous of being in Beijing a little bit because it was my first time out of the country. I felt it was really good. Yeah.
Thank you for watching our presentation on creating relationships while exploring the world. My name is Lisette Nieto-Guy, and I organized and coordinated 2 of the programs mentioned in the videos in Spain and France. If you have ever traveled or lived overseas, you can honestly see how enriching these experiences are in creating global perspective. After watching student testimonies, I'm sure you have noticed some common takeaways from these student experiences, such as building relationships, understanding other traditions, and problem solving through difficult challenges. What you might not have noticed is how intently these experiences were created through EL core practices and character framework. Student learning outside the classroom needs to be ongoing, cohesive, and interconnected. This is achieved through intently designed reflections, learning targets, case studies, and fieldwork. As we lead our students towards mastering a language, we need to be mindful of the process it takes to get there. As you can tell from the shared experiences, these students had an opportunity to process their experience, relate it to the real world, and apply it in their future endeavors. Our vision as world language educators is to empower students to be culturally competent communicators and problem solvers in this diverse global market. We hope you might join us later for our roundtable discussion if you have any further questions. Thank you.